next chart's probably the one that's the most interesting to me.
Well,
So,
you did mention it last week. We spoke about it on Friday.
yeah.
You looked at a few coal companies and you said that there's exhaustion, and you were alluding to these rising trend lines. So can you just walk us through, for those who weren't listening on Friday, what the 1, 2, 3, 4 is and why this is such an interesting chart?
Yeah, so I learned this actually from Bill McLaren actually years ago. He used to sort of talk about, there's sort of different types of trends, sort of like a normal, sort of fast trends, and then, corrective overlapping trends. And then occasionally you get what you call these vertical or blow off trends. And they occur when you get 3 ascending trend lines on a weekly chart. That's when you're getting a market that's really getting elevated, starting to really sort of accelerate. And sometimes you can get a fourth, not very common, but sometimes you can get a fourth ascending trend line there. So these are basically a vertical trend. So you can't keep going up at this sort of rate here. These vertical blow off, these vertical trends here, once they break, they normally have very large declines, Chris. And so normally the ones that do the 3 ascending trend lines, they'll come back to where the third one started, which is in this case is around that sort of 250 zone. But we've got a 4th ascending trend line here. So that's our sort of target, is come back to 450, which is about sort of half. So we're basically calling a half in these stocks here at the moment. So look, no one's going to sort of, everyone's going to disagree with that view. This is just a technical view entirely. So, but look at the moment, obviously, you've got energy issues, around the world here. But you might argue that they're priced in here as well, Chris. There's probably no good reason to sell these here based on the current climate there, but oftentimes that is the right time to sell them when there is no good reason to sell. That's, it should be as good as it gets sometimes is when highs come in, and it should be as bad as it gets when lows come in. So can coal prices get any better? Can the segment be, so again, you're pricing in a lot of stuff moving forward as well here. So that's just a big vertical move. I mean, it's gone up sort of 10, 12 times there. So pretty similar sort of, pretty similar multiplication of the previous leg. So if if the viewers were to look at a 10-year chart, to look at the previous leg up, going up into, it might have been 18, 19 top there. That had a similar move. I think it went from like 50 cents to $6. Sometimes went up 12 times, something like that. So, but yeah, I'm saying this, this is a textbook sort of vertical top, which McLaren talked about his teachings there, and they all come back here. To be honest, I learnt McLaren's work. I've seen quite a few vertical trends. I've never seen one not come back to the last acceleration point. So I'm still, at some point we might have one that does something different, but I've never seen any vertical trend not come back to that first 10. Most of them actually come back to where the third one started.
Which is for Whitehaven, as you were saying, it's about 250 region.
Might take a while to come down there, but but the first leg down, that 450 zone, that can get pondered up reasonably quickly in most cases here. So look, there's no good reason to sell coal. I know there's energy issues out there at the moment, and obviously, we spoke about inflationary years and pressures there. Obviously, your energy is your top performing sector there. But even if you go through and look at those 70s results there were some big years where the market was up 100, 200% in energy prices. But then there were some years that were off 30, 40% as well. So performed well over the whole, 8 years or the whole inflationary period, but there were some big up and down years within there. So what's to say this doesn't cool off here? What if energy prices start to sort of cool off here? So what if the oil price cools off, coal price cools off, and everyone thinks, okay, we're peak inflation. So that might cause these things to come off, and that's maybe when equity markets find a low and start to rally. And then you find in those inflationary years, there was some definitely in the 70s and 40s, you saw some big moves in the market. So big moves up, big moves down here. So everyone might get excited for the first year about inflation coming off, and then it might start to rear its head again. And maybe something like these energy stocks and coal stocks, maybe they go back to retest, or maybe maybe they plunge to $4.50, they bounce back up to $7.50, $8, go back up to retest the high again. But it can be very volatile periods. That history has just sort of said, though, you can get big moves up and you can get big moves back down again, and then you can go back and retest them again. I think it was the 70s there. I think some of the moves, I'll put some charts in there, but I think, I remember sort of looking at charts there in those high inflation periods where we saw like, there was like 70% rallies and then 40% declines. And there was like 3 of them over like 8 years or something, so big moves up, big moves down, big moves up, big moves down, big moves up, big over, so there was, depending on what year you were in, over that 8 years in that inflationary period, you could be up 70% or you could be down 40% the next year. And then the next year after that, you're up 70, and then the year later, you're down 30 or 40, and then 18 months later, you're back up again. And then, it's just, that's the sort of type of markets, type of movements you can get. So, so I saw there's a few sort of guys talking about equities coming off 20. And then I saw Stanley Druckenmiller saying that, he thinks equities could stand still here. But they won't sort of stand still. They'll be very volatile. So it'll be a real trader's paradise there.
Maybe on a 1, 3 or 5 year cycle, they might look like they stood still.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
not on the daily chart. No.
Yeah.
So,
but the one thing Bill McLaren talked about is that when these sort of accelerations, when these blow off trends, came into place, he said, I'll always look out for, like, oftentimes you can get the last leg can be like a 90-day blow off, or this sort of 13 weeks can go straight up 13 weeks there. If you see the 13-week blow off up into a high, look out. That's exactly what we've just done here. So basically, I think New Hope today has gone up exactly 90 days from the last swing low. It's sort of made a new high here. So McLaren would be telling us to look out. So I'm not telling you to look out. I'm just saying I've seen this theory applied over the years, and I'm yet to see a vertical trend that once it's ended hasn't come back with in dramatic fashion. So if you're long some coal stocks here, all I'd suggest is to tighten up your stops. That's all.